The Truth by Patrick Denny. Nil verita veritas. Truth fears nothing. This is the motto of my mother's family, the Deguets. So how does a noble French family, rumoured to have fought in the Holy Wars, come to be in Australia? Well, every Deguet descendant that lives or has lived in this country all trace their ancestry back to one man's arrival in 1887. Charles August Deguet. Charles is not a straightforward man. In fact, it is impossible to find any two pieces of information on Charles that exactly agree. In fact, Charles led such a tenuous relationship with truth and decency that his legacy for 170 years was obscurity, only to be succeeded by ignominy. Charles led a life of deceit and deception. Charles was a thief, bigamist, absconder, fraud, and all-round scoundrel who abandoned his families. Yes, families. The more that I learn about Charles, the more incredulous and conflicted I am. Everything he seemed to stand for is contrary to mine, my family, and even my extended family's values. At age 18, he had already served 3 jail sentences in France for theft, possession of stolen goods, and vagrancy. In contrast, his son at the same age was starting a family, his grandson was completing a trade, and his great-granddaughter, my mother, was halfway through university. At age 20, in 1877, Charles's law-abiding twin brother, Pierre-Simon Michel Deguet, was suddenly sentenced to serve 5 years with a further 5-year surveillance at the French penal colony in New Caledonia. However, Pierre-Simon Michel Deguet never left France. However, Charles, with his new wife Elizabeth Muller, suddenly arrived in Australia 10 years later in 1887 on the ship Natal straight from Noumea. Charles had posed as his twin to reduce his sentence. While I abhor Charles's dishonesty, I'm not convinced I would have behaved differently under similar circumstances. A child continually jailed for stealing food and being homeless sounds more like survival than criminal behaviour to me, and a reflection of society at the time. Charles's commitment to survival is why I'm here today. Whether working as a marine fireman shoveling coal into steamship boilers, or shoveling slag into the metal ore furnaces at the Port Pirie smelters. Charles worked in harsh, low-paying, menial labour, while his German wife ran a grocery and drapery shop. In 1905, Charles suddenly disappeared, leaving his wife to raise their 4 children on her own. Sadly, Elizabeth died in 1912. Unbeknownst to his family, Charles remarried and quickly absconded with £90. With the police in pursuit, Charles had come full circle. At some point, Charles married a 3rd woman in Newcastle. Every time he remarried, his naturalisation papers were reissued after leaving them with each previous wife. The written evidence of Charles's life tells another compelling story. A new wife, a new style of handwriting, and a new signature. When coupled with Charles's low-paid employment and his limited education opportunities as a child, it's quite possible that Charles was illiterate. While not in itself redeeming, it does make Charles a more sympathetic character to me. In early 1925, Charles, an old man now, returned to Adelaide and posted an ad in the local paper, searching for his lost children. Reunited with his family, Charles died in August that year. Charles was never formally charged with desertion, absconding, or bigamy. Charles lived a life hiding from the truth. While truth fears nothing, I can't help but wonder if my family would have been as successful or as morally upstanding in the full knowledge of Charles's indiscretions.